and they blast them with the counter with the AOE, and are able to actually we're we're
He
doing
tried
everything
to
we can
counter
to.
you. I saw that. Kobe was going for the fight, and Mao tried to steal it away. The counter engage.
He countered me.
It's
Yeah,
late.
That
Get
was
on my back.
He's Chovy. He just Aurora ulted your ass.
he actually did. Hello and welcome to the Dive, driven by Kia, season 9, episode number 23. This is from the hotel rooms again, plus Chronicler, plus we're literally just got off our shuttle after the finals, and spoiler alert, Gen.G are back-to-back MSI champions. Great cast, Azael. How was it?
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. I apologize if the audio quality is not that great. The mic that we brought seems to be broken, so I'm just using my webcam microphone. Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, honestly, it was the crowd for this whole like last week plus, I think, was insane. That place
Amazing.
was so friggin' loud for all of the games, for all of the teams. I loved it. Got to meet like thousands of fans over the course of the couple weeks here, and people were so excited for it. The series itself, I thought, was actually really fun, really competitive. Game 5, it did end up being kind of one-sided, but at least it had quite a bit of tension at the start, and the series was pretty cool back and forth. Seeing like some different styles, different comps, and all that made it quite exciting. I kind of felt like T1 was going to win, to be honest. I kind of felt like that the whole time, but Gen.G pulled it out. Canyon, Italy, Game 5, and Duro on the Pike, I think is like respect. That is crazy. Duro being able to just rock up and bust out a Pike in Game 5 is super ballsy. So it was just kind of cool seeing them try to like make these comps work, right? That were low on engage and everything.
I mean, I had a great time. I got a rematch of my finals of the rematch that I didn't get.
I think you're gonna have to get the mic right up on you.
Oh yeah, we gotta. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not actually shorter than Kobe. I swear, I'm not coping.
Yeah, okay, shorty.
Just like Raz, claiming he's
Okay.
not shorter than he
Hey,
is.
I've been seen in public. Okay, you can't hold this. I know I look like evil Peter Parker, but okay, this is very funny. No, I thought it was obviously an incredible tournament. I think that there are going to be a lot of comments on both the performances of T1 and Gen.G respectively. T1 in particular weren't even supposed to be here, right? And I know it's T1, but really I think as LCK commentator, it's kind of my duty to keep reminding people that they were 50-50 against KT and heavy underdogs against Hololive. So the fact they got one game away, and I'm kind of with Azael going into Game 5. I thought that they were going to win. I was not convinced by Gen.G's draft. Yeah, it was crazy. It was so cool. What a tournament. My God.
Actually, banger. We got a record-setting number of Game 5 series.
10?
Great format. I think nine
Nine?
counting this one. This was
Yeah.
the ninth one. Fearless Draft, as we postulated earlier, does seem to be creating a lot of full 5 games. And honestly, I really enjoy how wacky the drafts do get. I know some people are like, oh, wow, it starts to get really one-sided. But honestly, I think that even if that is the case to some degree, the more that we do it, the less we'll see like that effect, and like the more that players will be expanding their champion pools, and more that coaches will be become accustomed to. Oh wow, we have to think about all of these things going through to 5 games. I think there are growing pains that coaches and teams are seeing with full 5-game Fearless, but I say bring it on. Maybe even a new version of Fearless in the future. Because I just had so much fun this event. We got up to like over 100 champions picked, almost like halfway through the tournament, like so quickly. So much variety. We got to see a lot of different strategies, and so yeah, I think overall it's just been incredibly competitive and fun tournament where we got to see some incredible League of Legends.
Yes, sir. I mean, honestly, like I do see where people are coming from a little bit as far as the Game 5 thing, but at the end of the day, It's kind of funny because some of the comps and styles of comps that people are complaining about, like being like, oh, well, you could tell this team was going to win because that team got this bad draft or whatever. One of the things I was seeing is people complaining heavily about, Ziggs, like Ziggs without an 80 carry mid, and like how you have no chance to win with this. And then I was like, well, wait, didn't Gen.G beat AL with like basically that draft? You know what I mean? Like they played that game where they had Ruler on Ziggs and Chovy on Talia. We also saw, like, I feel like if you turn nameplates off and you showed people the Game 5 drafts, almost everyone is predicting T1. No? Like, over 90% of people, I think,
I
predicting
would
T1.
have, yeah.
Right?
As mentioned,
Like,
I kind of did.
exactly. So it's like, and you did with nameplates on. And Canyon Italy is not in Italy. That's a different
No,
champion. So it's
and
like,
like I know both teams intimately, right? Like
yeah.
I know what it means that Canyon gets Nidalee, that Chovy gets Aurora. Still thought it was going to be two, which is so cool.
Exactly. And that's my point, is that it's like, even with that knowledge, I still thought T1 was going to win. And without that knowledge, everyone would be saying T1 landslide in victory based on their composition. So to me, it's like, yeah, the comps obviously really, really matter, but I like that there is a skill in the drafting. And I think Gen.G proved that you can win with some of these drafts that people can consider to be inferior. They were the expected winner. They went undefeated all in LCK and then undefeated at MSI. Like, it's the perfect run, right? The best team won. I don't think there's really anything you can argue about that. So to me, it's like we crowned the best champion. We had a ton of game fives and really competitive, exciting series. I think that means Fearless has been pretty incredible. And I also saw something that was kind of interesting to me. People have talked about super one-sided game fives. Someone had posted, I don't know if it was all the international game fives from last year or just like a bunch of them or whatever, but it was like, say, 4 or 5 screenshots, the scoreboards, like people were doing for this MSI, and they were all turbo stomps, one-sided games as well. So even pre-Fearless, that often happened. And I just like that there is this skill now in drafting, and the coaches become more important. And I think as people get better at it, things will change. If there were to be a change, I would be down with them, like in a game 5, you get a little bit more time to draft, right? Because it is more complex. There's less things that you were able to prep for as a coach. So it's like, I wouldn't have any problem if they get like 30 seconds more here or there, or they have like, I don't know, you have like how teams have timeouts in traditional sports, almost like you get like a timeout and you could spend the timeout at any point you want during the series. Timeout, I get a minute now to think about my mid lane pick because they did some weird shit. Like, I'm fine with that in a game 5. So I think that there's like little things that could wiggle around, but like, goddamn, this tournament was so good.
Yeah, I've seen some really cool suggestions from people. There's also like if you just do a running timer, and if you have quicker drafts at the beginning, then you can bank that time. I think the timeout idea is
Sure.
cool.
Yeah.
For me, this is coming mostly from again, like in the LCK. I think that it's good to keep having discussions about what fearless means. I do think it's way too early, right? Like the sample size in this tournament and first stand really isn't that big. Even taking into account playoffs, I think we need like another year and a half to really kind of draw some actual valuable conclusions. But I can tell you that I would much rather see, and on the current meta, it's obviously what like Sion versus Rumble to give an example. But
Hmm.
I'd rather see that once a day instead of, well, I guess twice. Than like I used to see the 6 games a day for 5 days a week, and I'm telling you, if you're a casual fan, I think Fearless is better because you're just like, oh my god, look at all these crazy champions.
Oh my
I'm
god, it's
watching a
great.
series. Yeah. And obviously, we still had champ diversity, but over the course of a season, I think it makes everything feel way more fresh. Even if you can look at like Worlds 2022, right? Like there was a developing meta, there is still a lot of depth. But I think that Fearless did really reinvigorate a lot of casual fans that I've talked to, and those will be most of the fans, right? Like it's important to
Yeah.
remember that the people that really watch a ton of League are the minority compared to people that are just, well, it's MSI Finals. Let's watch my favorite team T1 see if they can do it again. And I think for that group of people, Fearless is just awesome. It's just so
And
cool.
isn't it just like more skillful? Like, if one top laner can only play tanks and one top laner can play tanks and carries and supportive stuff all at the same level, is that top laner not the more skilled player and like should have an advantage? To me, they are.
Yeah, and we get to see more strategies, but because of it, it's really fun to see, like these Viego strategies where you're trying to like burst down one and go for chain resets and stuff, and you can see like more facets of League of Legends itself explored by pro players that are so good at this game. So I think there definitely is a lot to that future, and kind of like what you're saying, the fifth game in this finals that we could talk about this finals a little bit before also talking about FlyQuest because FlyQuest definitely did us proud, and maybe shouldn't have tried to rush for the end of game number 3, but we'll get into that later because this finals was actually sick, and that last game, T1, the team that lost, I also like we were during draft, we were back in the caster green room and we're talking, and I was like, oh my god, they're gonna win because I thought it was that much better for T1 and it seems so much more straightforward to play. But then when they try and go for their burst play and they're charging at Gen.G and they try and get this, reset for Viego and they're like flashing forward, they flash forward into Misfortune ultimate, really well done from Ruler, and Chovy throwing down his ultimate too, and they blast him with the counter with the AoE and are able to actually we're we're
He
doing
tried
everything
to
we can
counter
to.
you. I saw that. Kobe was going for the fight, and Mao tried to steal it away. The counter engage.
He countered me.
It's
Yeah.
late.
That
Get
was
on my back.
He's Chovy. He just Aurora ulted your ass.
He actually did. We're doing everything we can to still pump out dive content for you, even if it is super
It's
stuff.
11 p.m. We've been working for weeks, almost every single show day. Just did 3 days in a row, back-to-back best of fives.
Yeah, I was about to say,
for
can
the
we
fans, for
can
love
we
of the
actually
game.
get a shout out to my man Azael that subbed for multiple people, leading to him casting 3 best of 5s in a row, which you definitely shouldn't do.
I'm
I
chilling.
also,
This is great.
yeah, I mean, obviously he's chilling because he's the goat, but like, let's be real.
Shout out to Vedius also, who subbed in
Yep.
one for me.
Yeah. Oh, for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got sick. Thank you, and in general, obviously, great job to the casters. I want to highlight though that final game. I think you highlighted as well. So post Otacon, it wasn't close, but even early on, some of those plays, like the flashes that Gen.G players were able to get on some of the flash charms or like flash renekton stuns, if they were slower, like I think people need to rewatch that game. I think T1 had a lot of breakpoints where they actually were really close to winning. Where if they get like an extra charm, an extra pick, if Gen.G aren't quite as on the mark, which again, 5 games deep is insane to be able to still be that sharp.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was really, really incredible. It's just like, I don't know, you're looking at this draft, and it is Nidalee Pike with like no point and click CC, and the only setup for the MF ult is Aurora ult, basically, which is just like a slow if you walk through the edges, right? Yeah, I thought it was going to be so hard, but their positioning was so good. I think they're literally the only team in the world that would win with that draft if playing against T1 in that situation. Like, I don't think anyone else has a chance.
Bro, I saw that Pike lock and I'm like, that's I think Dur has been amazing. I was like, no way, absolutely zero shot. And then he was good.
I loved his interview on stage when Laura asked him about it. Yeah, first he hushes the crowd, but she asked him about locking in. He's like, yeah, I don't want to get my butt whooped by Caitlyn Karma in lane, so I'm gonna pick Pike and make some plays, and I feel confident. And I was like, oh my yes, Duro, like he is still so fresh in his career, and to win an international title already is super hype for this Gen.G team. And then we had Ruler come over to the analyst desk for a follow-up interview too, and seeing how much winning still means to some of these players that have been winning for so long is really inspirational. And he answered a couple of our questions talking about some of the, not necessarily the secrets of like a super long-lived successful career, but some of the things that really do spur on Gen.G. And he talked about how much passion they have for the game and how did he say stressed at one point that they get. He was like, yeah, because all of us still like, we're so passionate about the game, we still get so stressed when we lose, or thinking of how to improve. And it just made me think like, wow, this team is not anywhere close to slowing down on their streak of winning. So it's definitely going to be exciting how long they can actually keep this up, because that would be super insane if it goes all the way to start Worlds again. Because that's what Chovy is really looking at. The elusive Worlds title.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get that good by not being obsessed, right? Like it has to be your everything. And these players are living it, breathing it. It is their entire life, pretty much every waking moment, damn near, for the entire year. So it does mean so much to them, like you're saying, even after all these years. And that's, I think, what makes it so fun to watch. It makes it so fun for them to still be playing and competing and stuff. Is how much goes into it. I mean, we've talked a lot about the game five, but I felt like that top lane dive where Ruler got both the kills really changed so much of the game, because Ruler gets both the kills, then all of a sudden he gets to BT way faster, I think, than they were expecting, and it kind of just meant that this Caitlyn Karma comp all of a sudden like can't push anywhere because all their poke is just being shrugged off, and Ruler can just like sit mid lane and deny them from ever really being able to get pushed, which felt so big. But I mean, it was just honestly a really incredible series from Ruler. I think I think Chovy won Player of the Series, right? I think Ruler probably would have been my vote, but I thought both of them were stellar. I mean, Ruler, his Senna game was incredible. His MF game was incredible. I think he was pretty much smurfing the whole way through.
Yeah, I went for those two were like even at the end I wasn't sure, right? Like when Chovy got on, like should I've gone Ruler? But to me, even if you look at that final game, like the reason why that dive works is because starting level one, and the same it was in the case in the Victor game, Chovy has just been shoving Faker on the turret, right? And it's just gapping lane. Like without the Aurora roam, I feel like they don't get a topside dive, and then the game doesn't go from there. And outside of the any game, I think that today was the first day we actually saw domestic Chovy show up at the tournament, and it wasn't maybe not as flashy, right? Like I've seen that man do like really insane, like high profile stuff. But I feel like thus far at MSI, we didn't even really see him do the normal Chovy stuff, which is just be a big bully in lane and just play insanely clean league. And I feel like the Aurora today, as well as the Victor, were just like both of those were vintage Chovy performances, which I felt were really cool. But when you look at the tournament, my MVP probably would be Ruler, I think. Maybe Keen, but Keen
He was
obviously had a
really good
Keen,
overall
Keen had
too.
a Keen was definitely the best top, but he had a
Yeah,
bit of a mid series today, I think. But he
yeah.
pivoted back well after game number one. But
The
that's actually oh yeah, sorry. Final point. My favorite part was that I feel like every player had a moment today out of the 10. I feel like we had the Carrier game, we had Guma popping off, we had like even Doran having his moments, like with some of the engages. It really felt like everyone kind of got a moment in these 5 games, which is really cool.
Yeah, I thought T1 really did kind of handle Chovy pretty well overall though. Like that the any game especially, I was kind of it was crazy. Like he had 0 kills, 0 assists, and so as soon as that happened, I hit up the stats team and I was like, when was the last time this happened, right? Because I just feel like it is so rare to see Chovy not have a big impact, right? And to see him like completely shut out of the game like that, where you can't even get an assist, I thought was crazy. And so it had happened one time last year, but they had told me that 10 times total in his career, this is the only amount of times that this has happened. So then I looked up how many total games he have. Nearly 900 games played. So only like 10 games out of 900 had this happen, and I obviously have not verified this, but I'm assuming probably that was more common when he's like brand new or whatever, and these types of things. Um, so for that to happen on the international level was like pretty crazy, and for that to push T1 to match point, I was like, oh, like we might not even be getting game five, right? Like it might just be curtains. But I mean, then we had that the Chovy Victor game where he was playing really, really well, and I thought their draft was very strong. It was like Guma and a bunch of meatballs basically, but Canyon had a really, really good Trundle game, and then you have so much damage where they just get ahead of the kind of the curve of the game, where Ruler's like on LDR pretty early on 3 items, and Chovy's really strong, and then your Trundle is just like ulting these tanks, and all of a sudden they're just kind of paper. And it was interesting just because some of the kind of like primary engage champs that we had seen were getting banned like throughout the whole series. So like, a lot of the games were lower on engage than I think people were used to playing with. But like Pantheon was perma banned the whole time. Varus was perma banned. I know it's not primary engage, but can be follow up. Nico was permaban the entire time. We never saw a Gragas. We never saw like a Blitzcrank and stuff. Like there's a lot of these champs that enable teams to start fights or at least follow up on initial engages weren't there, and so it felt like in that fourth game, T1 really struggled. It was like Owner couldn't really find a good target to ult, and it was often just like a Skarner ult on Duro that wouldn't really do much, So it was. I thought that game was like pretty brilliantly handled by Gen.G.
I think it was also one of my favorite examples of like when Gen.G plays a comp like that, they make it look like it's really easy and you just have to stall. I kind of feel the same way when Gen.G tried to play like a heavy skirmish comp earlier in the tournament and T1 just, and I think even against AL, and they just got whooped. And I'm like, it's such a fun reminder of even when we think we have reads on drafts, as you're highlighting, I think even when you do know the team, sometimes your read on drafts can be kind of offset by what happens in game. But like specifically when a draft is that draft was tailor made for Gen.G, right? Which why I kind of liked it in Fearless format, because if Gen.G gets that a game later or like in the final game, you're obviously cooked. But these two teams knowing each other that well and being like, I'm going to pick your champs and your draft and try to make it work, and then just kind of floundering, I think is always really funny.
I thought the Senna game was like classic Gen.G draft. When I saw the Senna draft, I was like, all right, Gen.G win.
Yeah, that definitely was them. I also thought though that T1 got to shine a lot too, and T1 this tournament, just completely impressed, because you're always worried. Oh, are they gonna like kind of revert and crumble? Is it just gonna be a flash in the pan? Because the road to MSI, they only had those two best of fives, and so you're like, well, there's not a whole lot of data right there, but they absolutely shown once again. Carrier was on fire, Guma was popping off, Doran was locked in a lot, even though he still had some blooper plays. He was actually locked in a lot. And it just made me so excited for T1, because man, they went through so much drama this split.
I know I'm in good company here. I think this has been Doran's best international ever. Like, I know people might go in on him for game 5. I mean, just to put this in perspective, Azael was like, what was it, like 2023 MSI? I don't remember what tournament it was, and he was like, Mao, why do people not like Doran? I'm like, I
I
get it, but
love
I love
Doran.
Doran too. And he's been a defender since the beginning. I actually think that they wouldn't have gotten as far as they would have without him. And like even going to I think the Ambessa game, where game 5 against Gen.G before was a little bit more opaque, but even there, I think you can argue that they were already kind of falling behind because they weren't snowballing.
Are you talking about the Ambessa
The Ambessa
ultimate?
ult in,
Dude, the
definitely.
Ambessa ult on the back in on Tom
I'm not going to
Kench.
defend that. Not going to defend that.
Unless there was something with comms or something, like more info, because that one.
Not going to defend. That's classic
That one
Doran.
was tough, but also, how does Owner get off scot-free in that game where he walked up onto the Jinx Chompers and got killed, and then they lost Otacon? I actually thought that was worse than the Ambessa engaged.
Well,
so I was kind of shocked that everyone's just like all on Doran for that one.
Even today, I think Faker was a much bigger issue for the series today than Doran was. Even that game 5, like, who else is going to try and set up for Viego? Like, Ari Flash Charm is obviously too telegraphed and too slow. Like, it has to be Doran to go in there. So I've been hard on Doran in some of the past performances, but I feel like this was a really good tournament from him. He was the second best top laner.
Also, did you guys see Doran during? I don't know if you were out there when they were doing
Dancing,
rehearsals.
yeah.
It was so cute. So all the players get on stage. They rehearse obviously the opening ceremony thing, so the players know where to walk, whatever. And everyone's kind of like pretty locked in, like maybe like just kind of thinking about the games, whatever, and pretty stoic. And then Doran's just up there. The drummers are drumming, and Doran's just in the background going like this the whole time, along with the drummers and stuff. And he was just like vibing out. Like it was honestly funny as hell. And Doran's definitely a great character. I feel like he had a good tournament. I think he should not be keeping that label of like international choker and this sort of stuff. He made his first international finals. They pushed Gen.G, who no one has been able to beat, to 5 games twice. They beat AL in a 5-game banger, who I think AL was looking really, really quite stellar. So I think it was really exciting, and he was a huge part of that. I got to do play-by-play for that series, which was honestly so hype. I was really nervous, I'm not going to lie, because I had to sub in, and I knew if I had a bad cast, I was going to get my ass roasted by the community. and it was gonna be like, what is this idiot doing up there? You know, where is this caster? Where is that caster? But I was just subbing in because people were sick. Obviously, the tournament was a huge grind, so a lot of people had sore throats or were out or whatever. But I got to cast with Kobe, which was really, really fun because we obviously cast a lot in NA, and he's the GOAT. So that series was a blast. But Doran in Game 5, the Gragas, chef's kiss. He was clean, man. He was finding so many great engages onto Shanks. And so, you know, there obviously have been oopsie moments, but I feel like Doran had way more really impressive moments than bad ones. And yeah, I mean, the tournament was just such a pleasure. Like, the top 3 teams were clearly a cut above everyone else. But like AL, Gen.G, T1, all permutations of that went 5 games. Like, really, what more can you ask for, right? Like, it could not have been closer. The fact that there was a losers bracket really made the tournament so much better because we got to see every version of that matchup, right? We got to see AL versus both. We got to see Gen.G versus both. We got to see T1 versus both, right? We had that whole thing. And so I just thought it was really, really amazing to watch.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Especially AL, like I just completely fell in love with all of these players on AL.
Shanks.
Shanks is actually just so cool. I mean, we'll go super deep if we start going on AL also, but I really like how all of these teams at this tournament really got to shine through, show personality of all of the players, and I felt like so many of them, gained a lot of fans. I also when Azael came in to sub in for doing the play by play, I could tell he was locked in though because he's got his earbuds in, and he gets on the bus and he's like, "Yep, I'm excited. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. I'm excited." And I don't know what song he's listening to ever or what type of music,
I
but
was listening to like pump up playlists and stuff,
yeah,
man. I was like,
yeah,
I need to be locked in. I
yeah,
have to do a good job. This must happen.
yeah. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "Yep, I'm excited. It's gonna be good. Let's go!" And then it was super fun. It was definitely you popped off. You had some really good lines that were uh both the one that you made, but also just off the top of the head. I really enjoyed the Eternal Sleep one, and that one was
Thank
for
you. Thank
sure
you.
just like as it happened with the Lily asleep. And that one fit really well. Your end game call was super good, so. Yeah, definitely big props there, man. Azael is always the one with like the strongest immune system too, so we rely on him a lot to be solid there. But let's talk about another pillar of North America that we rely on a lot: FlyQuest and their Canadian Masu, because FlyQuest really did us proud by 3-0ing G2. Like that, good
Mhm.
job. And then they almost did us really, really proud by beating BLG. We were so insanely close that it was so frustrating. Honestly, like mid-series, me and Captain Flowers like ran over to the Cagel's co-stream and we're like, why did they go for the end? Because of course that it was the game number 3 where they had so much scaling. They had the Senna and Rise and Gangplank, and they had just gotten the Dragon and into the Baron, gotten all these kills, and they had like completely obliterated BLG's gold lead. And then they push down, go through the inhibitor. BLG are respawning at the Nexus turrets, and they fumble it right at the Nexus turrets. And then, of course, they go on and they smash the next game. So everyone's like trying to go back in time and like rearrange the dominoes and fix the timeline so that they were able to possibly theoretically come away with a 3-1 victory. But of course, got to live in reality. And
Yeah.
honestly, they did do us proud. I feel like Inspired mega cemented himself as the Western GOAT jungle, and like as of right now in that tournament, I mean, I think he was better individually than Caps. So like, of course, Caps still has way more accolades and everything. But at this particular tournament, like Inspired was insane.
You know who also really, really impressed me that I was happy? I think some of the FlyQuest members didn't play as well as they have in the past internationally. Like, I think Masu wasn't as good as he had been in the past. I think Quad
Yeah.
actually didn't have a great tournament.
Busio, though? Are you going to say
That's what I was gonna
Busio?
say. Yeah, Busio to me really was shining, and it was really fun because I had felt like people didn't get to see the real Busio. Even some of his like early finals and stuff that he made just within LCS LTA. When people would like just watch those before international, I could tell like they weren't seeing like what I was seeing, right? Because I really did believe that this guy could be something special. And then when his early international events, I felt like you could just see the nerves, right? Like he was messing up plays that he never messed up. He was looking way less confident. This is the first time I felt like we went international and everyone got to see what we get to see Kobe when we watch him play in the LTA, which is like this stellar support who is very flexible, who can affect the map really, really well, who plays super well around vision. Like he is a huge part of their success. And I feel like his playstyle also enables Inspired because Inspired can sometimes play more greedy for himself because of how much covering of the lanes that Busio will do. Before their series against BLG, I think it was, I did like a Telestrator thing showing like even in the Karma game, which everyone obviously is talking about his Bard games, he had like highlight plays, really stellar. But even in the Karma game, he was everywhere, and it was like not even getting kills, but he over the span of like 6 minutes, he changed lanes like 10 times. He's like, we did this fast forwarded up thing. If anyone's listening and is interested, you can go back and watch it. Where it's like he goes bot, helps Masu push out there, roams to mid, helps Quad push out, goes into the enemy jungle, finds the jungler, wards him out, moves in again, finds the enemy support, goes top. Masu is now based and gone top. He helps him push out there. Then he like covers Whippo and he's like literally just ping ponging everywhere. And in the enemy jungle, constantly playing in their face and tracking them. And it's like, didn't get a kill, didn't get an assist, but was heavily dictating the pace of the game and now allowing like Inspired to just focus on farming and getting ahead and then doing what he does. So I just felt like he was playing stellar at this event, and it was really, really fun for me to see because I had felt like in the past he was the weak point internationally because he just hadn't been playing like he normally does regionally.
What do you think of our boys, Chronicler?
Well, after last year, I really didn't have a choice to be impressed, right? Because they almost beat Gen.G. It was a very stressful situation for me. So I have not forgotten about that. I have two prevailing emotions. One is that it kind of strengthened my read that FlyQuest is just legitimately like they're just a good team, right? Like I think that obviously if you'd have to rank them, I think Gen.G, T1, AL, as we highlighted, right? Like these two free teams. Maybe Hanwha, but I think given how they went out, I don't think you can quite say that anymore. But those three teams, I think, are very clearly in the same tier. But I think FlyQuest is also very clearly immediately afterwards, right? Which I think is insane. Like that already, the fact that you're contesting with like
As good as Hanma Life, Chronicler did say that. So we're going to need this clipped out, and we're going to
This
need
is
this
on tape.
on LTA North socials. There's no takebacks here on the dive.
all right, well, if that's the read you want to make, that's fine.
Kobe, high five, buddy.
I but I
No take backs.
okay. Suffice it to say, I think FlyQuest is generally good. I really enjoy watching them. I enjoy, even though obviously in some cases it ends up backfiring immensely. I enjoy a lot of their draft reads, right? Like Whipple bringing out set. It's kind of reminds me of the same as with Doran, where like some of the stuff he does, I'm like the Urgot obviously was a mistake, but the set also got them to fifth game in the first place, right? And then I think that secondly, I was really sad, and I know this is preaching to the choir, but I swear I felt this way before the tournament. Sad C9's not here. I would have loved to see my boy Thanatos and Loki, as a challenger enjoyer. That would have been wonderful. I don't know if they would have done as well as Fly, though. Like, even though those teams obviously in the head-to-head, I don't really believe in transitive property. And it would have been fun to see what they would have done. But I think FlyQuest, to me, currently, as far as any Western team goes, stands alone in how good they actually are.
And so I think my honest read on C9 is, and maybe they would totally prove me wrong, I think they would struggle more against the Eastern teams than FlyQuest would, because I think FlyQuest is a more creative team, right? C9 would be like matching fire with fire more in that they would just be playing the same kind of stuff and trying to play it well, which I think is kind of like a harder way to beat the Eastern teams. But that being said, I still think C9 would have smacked everyone else, right? Like the non-LPL LCK teams. So I guess I shouldn't just say like Eastern or Asian teams because obviously CFO is in there as well and was playing really really well. But I think C9 would have cleared the European teams. I think they could beat CFO as well. I think they're really strong. But I agree, like the transitive properties aren't always one to one because I think FlyQuest is like a more kind of flexible team and they are kind of different. So where C9 is like very, I think they're much more standard. They're going to play the meta, they're going to play it well, and that's kind of like their MO. But yeah, it definitely was sad that they weren't there. FlyQuest, I mean that series. I remember I was on the desk with Raz, and I remember after they lost the game three. I mean, first off, I thought their game three draft was like so good. I actually really loved that draft. I thought the GP counter pick into Mbessa was really really good. I felt like our scaling was amazing. And everyone obviously talks about the end, rightfully so, because we had gotten back into it and like could have just probably backed off and won off scaling. But there was so many early mistakes. I thought they played that game horrible. Like I thought that was like they played that game really poorly compared to how they were playing a lot of the rest of the series. And I think it was just like maybe nerves or whatever. But I have this this play like etched into my brain where they saw On, who was on the Nautilus, and he's invading over by our Raptors, and they kind of try to engage on him, and it was like, say, I think it was Inspired and Busio that were kind of like in the jungle, and they were kind of engaging on him, and then Masu and Quad and maybe it was Whippo, maybe it was Inspired, whatever. Three of them try to like walk by, but they could literally see Knight and Elk clearing a ward. In the side brush at mid lane, and they were literally on the ward, clearing the ward, and they walked right past it, and both just like our carry just insta-died, or like Quad insta-died, and Masu had to get pushed out. And to me, that was actually the like more egregious throw. The end game situation, I think I get it more because it's just like so intense and adrenaline, and they probably lost track of spawn timers. But I felt like that was the one that really really killed me. And after they lost that game, I turned to Raz and I was like, realistically, I think that was the series. I think that was the one we had to win because I felt like our draft was really good. We threw super hard early, then got back into a winning position because of a bit of trolling from BLG and really good scaling from our comp, and then we threw again, and it was like that was the one you have to win. You just can't, like, against teams this good, you just can't afford to let those gimmies go, right? You just need them.
Yeah, but then we came back and we smashed them in game number 4, and they made you believe again, only to have the Tribrush incident, the Zillion walk up and just let you full combo me under tower incident, and then the like counter answer or Urgot pick on top side that just kind of like slowly lost out. And so it is so sad in retrospect that that is how that series ended, with that last game being so insanely deflated, because we felt it and we knew, everybody knew by like 5-6 minutes that this game was gone, that this whole series was gone then, and that BLG was going to win. And so I so much props to FlyQuest for all their performances, even with the deflating way that it actually ended. I know I saw a lot of people really salty and like angry how it ended, and that's totally fine for fans to be up and down with their teams. But I really think they did put in a lot of work, and I'm really proud of them. Yeah, I know, especially Quad was getting a lot of heat. Quad definitely didn't have the best tournament. There are a lot of lane phases, a lot of times where he was. I mean, he's playing against such crazy good mid laners, though. Like the caliber of
Chovy, Knight, Shanks,
the caliber of players he's playing here are insane. And back in LTA, all of our other mid laners all have so much respect for him, and pretty much all of them say that Quad is our best mid laner. So I'm just I'm looking forward to what FlyQuest build on with this team, and looking forward to what else they can accomplish.
I'm just gonna say in that Game 5 draft, I was just yelling at the screen for the 5th pick to be Swain. It was like 4 melee, and they went for the Zillion, and I was just like, please, for the love of God, Swain, Swain, Swain. And then I think Inspired said in the press conference afterwards that they just like didn't know what to pick. Basically, they had no picks left against Galio. So he's like, well played to them. We just like didn't know what to play into Galio, and we hadn't scrimmed Zillion, so we just kind of like rando locked Zillion. So I'm like, well, fair enough.
Yeah, following up on that is a bit rough because I do agree. I don't think Quat was playing that well. I do think though, if you're playing against Knight and they're banning five of your champions in like every game, the rest of your team does need to get some sort of draft advantage out of that, right? Because I think that matchup will always be lopsided. I also don't think Quad had the best tournament, and I'm just realizing this now, like looking back at the drafts, I'm like, they did really have a game where they banned Silas, Cassiopeia, Galio, Azir, and Oriana. Um, which I think is also on BLGs, is probably also like identifying Quad as the weaker memory and can target him, but that is kind of crazy to me. I didn't really take as
Yeah.
much note of that as the
No,
series was
absolutely.
happening.
I mean, they were targeting him really, really hard. And like you said, it's like a bit column A, a bit column B. Like I do think Quad
Both,
was the
yeah.
weakest performing player for FlyQuest throughout. So I think they were probably trying to target him. I think everyone knew that was going to be a big kind of like question mark. Even going into the series, I was like, I feel pretty good about bot. I feel really good about jungle. A little bit worried about our solos. I know Bippo had an interview that I thought was really nice afterwards, kind of like his exit interview, where he was talking about how he regretted not taking a matchup where he could put pressure on to kind of take pressure off of what he was kind of calling the rookies of the team, basically mid and bot. But I mean, there was just a lot of mental errors in Game 5 as well. It's like the reality is, had they won with that, everyone would be like, wow, brilliant. Like, absolute, like,
Oh
just
yeah, of course. Yeah.
masterful stroke there with the Zillion. It just
Wait,
completely countered what they picked. They had this Nocturne dive comp or whatever it was and just completely shut it down. Just amazing. But there were so many mental errors, right? It's like, it's not just the draft. Masu, clear mental error, recalling just outside the brush. I think it's just like they're too nervous, too focused on a million different things, not thinking about the basics. Quad, the like bomb on his head just walks into melee range of Knight when he's really, really low and dies. Like all these things are not draft related. They're just like, well, it wouldn't have mattered what you were playing, right? Like those are just mental errors. So
didn't Inspired also like die? Am I making? He died like randomly invading a red buff,
yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
got
did.
Galio ulted.
which
Yeah.
like, and again, Inspired was in my opinion the best performing player in that entire series, right? But like, yeah, now that you're
Yep.
mentioning, I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen.
Yeah,
It
I
was
mean
just
that. Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
It was-
That last game was a complete just all of the air out, all everything just kind of collapsed at that. But I'm getting spam messaged by Shocks right now to leave. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave it to you guys to wrap it up and keep going to finish out the episode. Honestly, because I know you got a little bit more juice left in you and really want to do this episode. Thank you so much for Chronicler for coming and doing this episode. Thank you for everyone tuning in for all of our janky roadshow antics here for the dive. And good job, FlyQuest. We're proud of you.
Have fun, Kobe. Well deserved. We are going to take a quick break, and then we will be right back after these messages.
Ready, set, go!
I'm at 47%.
Oh, I'm on 63%.
Man, I'm at 50%. Boom! 80%. Winner! The Kia EV9 can go from 10% charge to 80% charge in just 24 minutes with DC fast charging.
Welcome back to the dive this by Kia. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much more to say.
So
I'm
do I
still-
stay? Like,
I mean, I guess this is Kobe's hotel room, by the way, that Mao is in. So Mao is
That's
now.
fine.
Yeah, you gotta finish the upload.
Okay. So he's just chilling. Yeah, no, I mean,
You and me-
it's
you and me,
been
baby.
It's been, yeah, we've never done a 2-man dive episode. I would not have predicted that the 2-man dive episode that we do includes Chronicler, but here we are. Yeah, it's been a really fun event. It's been a really exhausting event, but that is kind of the nature of the beast, right? So many best of fives packed into a couple weeks has been really, really, really fun. It's definitely been a special event for me, kind of like an emotional one as well, with my dog dying right before, and
Yeah.
then my dad died right before MSI last year. So it's been kind of a heavy event for me, but I have really loved it, and just so appreciative of the talent team and stuff is so awesome. It's always so much fun getting to go to the events, and like to me that is the most fun part of the events, is getting to see you guys, getting to see Chronicler and all my friends from around the world and stuff. I just think is like, it's honestly a blessing, right? It's really, really cool
It
what
is,
we do.
yeah.
like we're all tired as hell. We're all, people are like,
Everyone's overworked.
I'm gonna eat
Yeah.
and then sleep for 4 hours and then I'm going to the airport. But like here we are, and it's tiring, it's exhausting, but it's also like such a privilege to do what we do, I think, and it's really really cool that we like get to be in this venue with so many fans. So many people wanted to take pictures and get, have a sign things and all this stuff, which is just such a privilege. And yeah, I've just really loved the experience.
Yeah, I'm just sad, honestly, that I couldn't. Like, I feel like last year at Worlds we had like little meet and greet. That was amazing. Uh, I'm so sad whenever like we have to leave because like what happens, especially during finals day, right? But to like kind of look behind the curtain. So especially if you're casting, like as soon as you're done, especially Azael over there, who again did an unreasonable number of games. You take some pictures, but like you have to get back, you have to change your wardrobe, you have to get everything out of the green room, you have to the entire venue needs to be breaking down. So literally the moment that the event is done, like the moment the Nexus falls, basically, everything else is just kind of rapidly chugging along. And I had to leave. There were like, I swear, like still 30, 40 people looking to take pictures with me, with Avia, Shocks, with Emily, with Kobe, and then I looked at and as I'm heading back, right, because like we have to get back. I look down and I just see Cap in like a sea of people, and they're all like, "Please, Cap, take a pic." And it's both so sweet, and I always feel so bad because I want to be able to take a picture with everyone, and all the casters do, right? Because they're all sweethearts, and it's just like you can't do it. There's just not enough time.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like it's been great. I mean, there's just been so many fans. I think it's partially the Canadian factor. Like
It is,
a
dude.
lot of
Canadians are so sweet. I thought it was just you. I had no idea. And
no,
Raz, I guess.
Canada's fucking awesome, man. The fans are all so nice, and it was so cool for me, just like on a personal level, to be Canadian, doing it at home is so special. And I had literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fans come up and take pictures with me, and I signed. I don't know what it is with signatures here compared to every other event. I swear to God, I signed more things here than I have at every other event
It's
combined
insane.
in my entire career. So people wanted everything signed. I signed a keyboard. I signed mice. People brought their mice in
Mouse
for me to
Matt,
sign.
did you sign the
I
Renekton?
signed, yes, I did. I signed a million different plushies. I signed T-shirts. I signed hats. I signed jerseys. I signed jackets. I signed someone's like winter coat. Someone wanted me to sign their shoes. He took off his shoe and asked me to sign his shoe. I signed his shoes. So it was kind of wild, but yeah, I mean, I had so many people coming up and they're like, "Oh my God, you're from Canada. That's so sick. Like, thanks for representing us." And so many people were telling me that they like, "Oh, I lived near where I was, or went to university in the city that I grew up in, or lived in Toronto, like I lived there for a while, or whatever." So definitely, Canada is goated, and hope we get to do more events here because I'm always pushing the Canadian events, and hopefully we get to go to like Toronto or something. It would be cool.
Yeah, understandably. Obviously, in my case, I won't be won't be able to join you, but no, it was incredible. I think we also together with Emily and who was it? There was one more person at the hike. That doesn't matter. We had a great hike. We had what else did we do? We did the bridge. Like the nature is so amazing. Food's been incredible. I think Vancouver has been just wonderful all around.
Yeah.
As you can notice, I am also tired and was sick
Yeah.
until yesterday. So
Yeah, Mao
I'm
was sick. Draco's lost his voice. Kobe lost his voice at some point.
Yeah, shout out to
Flowers
Vetty.
lost his voice. Like
Vetty
everyone got
for
sick.
covering for me, and Azil. So yeah, as mentioned. I mean, it's as I was like I profusely thanked Vetty. It was like, yeah, you do the same. Like, yep, that's how it goes. That's just how lens are.
The
It's
show
nice
must
to
go
see
on.
anyway. Show must go on. We
Yeah.
gotta put up a show every day.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's-
what a
it's been
pleasure, man.
amazing.
What an incredible international. Like not just the game fives, but I feel like, and this is I think is the crowd. Like we had CFO had a breakup performance. I feel like a lot of those players have built fans for lives, right? Like Driver with his antics, his loyalty to his team, Honkyu's performance, Doggo popping off, and then we had like AL with Shanks being maybe the smartest esports player I've ever heard in interviews, and he's just like dropping philosophical bombs. You're like, you go Shanks. Just amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Shanks definitely. I mean, I already loved his gameplay, but like to be
Oh,
frank, even
right,
when I'm
yeah.
watching other regions, I'm watching so many VODs that I don't
You
usually
can't- you
watch
don't catch it.
interviews and all this sort of stuff, right?
It's
Like you
too
don't necessarily
much.
get a feeling of their personality. Like I just watch a million games and I'm like, wow, Shanks is a good player. And then, you know, coming out of this event, I'm like, wow, Shanks is actually like a really cool person, and his story is just like not just like the gameplay story and the team story, like that is something that I knew from my research, right? But yeah, I just got so much of a better impression of him and who he is, and you know, it definitely made me a really, really big fan. So it's definitely been an incredible event, and I think that pretty much wraps it, man. I'm gonna eat. I haven't eaten since before the show, and I'm sure you
Please do.
probably want to go out or go to bed or whatever.
That's
But
fine.
thank
I
you.
enjoyed talking to you, Azael. You know that.
Yeah, of course, man.
Maybe I'll trash Kobe's hotel room. What is he gonna
Yeah,
do?
yeah, you could do whatever you want. You could
No way of knowing it was me.
just go poop in his toilet. Don't flush it. Kobe can come back to a nice surprise later. I think that's going to do it for this episode of The Dive, driven by Kia. It's been a lot of fun. And thank you ever so much for everyone tuning in to MSI, for checking out The Dive and everything, and for just being who you are. So it's been a blast. We're going to be back, obviously, with LTA soon, and Chronicler will be back with LCK very soon. Remember, if you are watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode of The Dive. You can also check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. LTA North returns July 26th because FlyQuest take on Disguised with C9 versus Lyon later that day. You won't want to miss it. We'll see you all there.